y is less than or equal to negative x plus 1 to the second power minus 4, because I know 1, negative 4 is a vertex, and I know it's going to be shading below, so your answer is C. Number 3, I'm going to go ahead and solve this. So we're going to subtract 10 from both sides. So we have the square root of x minus 1 equals 2. What we're going to do next is we're going to square both sides. So you have x minus 1 equals 4, so x equals 5. And if you wanted to check this, all you would have to do is substitute. So we have 10 plus the square root of 5 minus 1. That's 12. For number 4, it says the graph of y equals 3 minus square root of x minus 4 appears in which quadrant? It looks like it goes from 1 and it goes into 4, so I'm going to say C. Remember, this is the first quadrant, this is the second quadrant, third quadrant, fourth quadrant, and there it is. The graph of y equals 7 plus the square root of x minus 2 appears in which quadrant? 1. So it's 1. Number 6, we're going to divide. So we have x to the third power minus 2x squared plus 0x minus 9 is divided by x minus 3. X times what gives you x cubed? Of course, we know it's x squared. X squared times x gives you x cubed. X squared times negative 3 gives you negative 3x squared. Minus x cubed minus x cubed. We have negative 2x squared minus the negative 3x squared, which is just x squared. Bring down the 0x. X times what gives you x squared, so it's going to be x. X times x gives you x squared minus 3x. Subtract. 0x minus the negative 3x gives you 3x. Bring down the minus 9. So x times 3 gives you 3x minus 9, and then when you subtract, the remainder is 0. Number 7, we have 2x to the fourth minus x cubed minus 6x squared plus 9x plus 1. We're going to divide. So it's going to be x to the third power, actually 2, minus 2x to the third. We subtract. So 2x to the fourth minus 2x to the fourth is 0. This becomes a positive, so this is x cubed. Bring down the negative 6x squared. So you ask yourself, what do you multiply x to get x cubed? It's going to be x squared. X squared times x gives you x cubed minus 1x squared, right? You're going to subtract, and we have x cubed minus x cubed is 0. Negative 6x squared minus a negative x squared gives you negative 5x squared. Bring down the 9x. You multiply times negative 5x. Negative 5x times x gives you negative 5x squared. Negative 5x times negative 1 gives you positive 5x. Subtract, that cancels. So you have 4x plus 1. So you multiply by 4. So you have 4x minus 4. So the remainder is 5. The remainder is 5. So that's how you do the long division. I'm going to use synthetic substitution to find y when x is equal to negative 2. So we have 2. Negative 2 times 2 gives you negative 4. 3 plus negative 4 gives you negative 1. Negative 2 times negative 1 is 2. Negative 1 plus 2 is 1. Negative 2 times 1 is negative 2. Negative 2. Negative 2 times negative 2 is 4. Negative 2 plus 4 is 2. The remainder is 2, so we have f of negative 2 is 2. So we're going to go ahead and use synthetic substitution again for x equal negative 3. So when we have x is negative 3, we have 1, 2, negative 4, 0, negative 5, 1. Negative 3 times 1 is negative 3. 2 plus negative 3 is negative 1. Negative 3 times negative 1 is 3. Negative 4 plus 3 is negative 1. Negative 3 times negative 1 is 3. 0 plus 3 is 3. Negative 3 times 3 is negative 9, so it's negative 14. So your answer is A. Find the remainder when x cubed minus 3x squared plus 3x minus 2 is divided by x minus 2. So you have 1, negative 3, 3, negative 2, and we're going to use synthetic division. So we have 1, 2 times 1 is 2, negative 3 plus 2 is negative 1, 2 times negative 1 is negative 2, 3 plus negative 2 is 1, 2 times 1 is 2, negative 2 plus 2 is 0, so there's no remainder. So we're going to find the remainder. So we have 3, and then we have 2, negative 5, 1, negative 15. Bring down to 2. 3 times 2 is 6. Negative 5 plus 6 is 1. 3 times 1 is 3. 1 plus 3 is 4. 2 times 4 is 12. Negative 15 plus 12 is negative 3. So your remainder is negative 3. I'm going to go ahead and do long division. So you start off with 4c. What do you multiply 4c to get 4c to the fourth? Well, it's going to be 4c to the third. I take that back. It's going to be c to the third. So you have 4c to the fourth minus c cubed. Subtract. Remember, you're always subtracting. So you have 4c times c to the cube, c to the third power. That cancels. This is positive, so it's going to be negative 16c to the third. You bring down 8c squared. So what do you multiply 4c to get negative 4, negative 16c to the third? So it's going to be negative 4c squared. And that gives you negative 16c cubed. And you get positive 4c squared. Subtract again. 8 minus 4 gives you 4c squared. Bring down 23c. So what do you multiply 4c to get c squared? It's just c. So it's 4c squared minus c. Subtract what you're actually adding here. So it's 24c minus 10. So you're going to multiply by 6. 6 times 4c gives you 24c. 6 times negative 1 gives you negative 6. You subtract. So it's negative 4. Your remainder is negative 4. The negative is going to reflect it over the x-axis. The positive 2 is going to move it to the right. I'm sorry, to the left 2 units. And minus 3 moves it down. So which one moves it down? So we down, left 2 units, and reflect over the x. So there it is. It reflects over the x-axis and moves over to the left, and it goes down 3. Let f of x equal square root of x, and we have that 2. That 2 does a vertical shift. That minus 4 shifts it to the right 4 units, and 6 goes up. Use the following graph to determine the order pair, which order pair is out of solution. So we have negative 2, negative 5. That's that's not going to be a solution because it's on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, wait, that is on the point. 2, -7, that is a solution. 10, 3, 2, 3, 2. So it's actually D. D will not be a solution. 16, what is the solution for this equation? We have the square root of 1 minus 2x equals 2. You square both sides. 1 minus 2x equals 4. Subtract 1, so 2x, negative 2x equals 3. So x equals negative 3 over 2. So the answer is B. And if you want to check, all you would have to do is substitute. For what value of x is always true? So we have square root of 4 minus 3x equals 4. So we have to square both sides. So you have 4 minus 3x equals 16. Subtract 4 from both sides. So you have negative 3x equals 12. Divide by negative 3, so x equals negative 4. So what would you do again? You would go ahead and substitute and then see if it comes out to 4, and it does. 18, for what value of x is always true? So we have the square root, 3x minus 8 equals 4. The left side we square, the right side we square, so we have 3x minus 8 equals 16. You add 8 to both sides, so you have 3x equals 24 divided by 3, so x equals 8. So what you would do is you substitute. 3 times 8 is 24, 24 minus 8 is 16, square root of 16 is 4. What should be the first step in solving the equation? It's a cube root. You don't square, you don't divide both sides, you cube both sides. So the answer is D. Which of the following are factors of the polynomial function x squared minus y squared? So remember that this is a difference of squares. So to factor this, this would be a plus b times a minus b. So the factors, the polynomial factors would be x plus y times x minus y. The answer is A. So 21, which of the following factors for this polynomial? So you have 2r cubed plus 24r squared plus 40r. You factor the greatest common factor, which is 2r. You're left with r squared plus 12r plus 20. You're going to have to find the factors of 20 that give you 20, but also add to give you 12. In this case, it's going to be 2r, r plus 10, and r plus 2. So your answer is B. Which of the following are factors of the polynomial? So we have 2x to the third power minus 13x squared plus 6x. And what you're going to do is you're going to find the common factor, or the greatest common factor. In this case, it's 2x. So we have we're left with x squared minus 13x plus 3. Oh, in this case we can't. So we're going to have to, we can't, they don't have the greatest, wait, they have x as a common factor. I take that back. They have x as a common factor. So you're left with 2x squared minus 13x plus 6. Then what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to multiply 2 times 6, which gives you 12. Find the factors of 12. X minus 12, x minus 1. Then you divide by 2. And the factors are x, x minus 6, and 2x minus 1. 31, what we're going to do is we're solving that cube root equation. We're going to subtract 7. and then the difference, we're going to go ahead and cube it to the third power, and then we subtract 2, and that's where we get negative 10. Now, if you want to check it, which I do recommend that you check, you want to get your calculator and substitute. And while we're waiting for that to pop up, I'm going to work on B. So we want to subtract 6 first. We have negative 2 times the cube root of x plus 4 equals negative 6. The next step would be to divide by negative 2. So we have the cube root of x plus 4 equals negative 6 divided by negative 2, which is 3. And then what you want to do is you want to raise each side to the third power. So you have x plus 4 equals 3 times 3 is 9. 9 times 3 is 27. So x is equal to 23. And what you want to do is you want to substitute into the equation. And when it comes up, so we're coming back to check by substitution. So we're going to go to Control. First, you got to make sure that you're on Calculate. Enter. Control. This caret, you type in a 3, and then you substitute. In this case, it's negative 10 plus 2. And then on the outside of the radical, it's plus 7. We want it to be 5, and it is 5. And you can also do that for B. We'll do that. Number 32, it says give a possible factorization. You see the keyword is factor of the polynomial. So here's a graph. Also give the zeros. So in this case, like we've always said, the zeros are the x-intercepts, which are also called the roots. We have that x equals negative 3, x equals 1, x equals 4. And if you want to put it in factored form, you just have to add 3 to both sides. You have to subtract 1 from both sides and subtract 4, and that's how you get the factors. These are linear factors, x plus 3, x minus 1, x minus 4. And if you want to do this one here, here's our polynomial. We have x equals negative 2, x equals 1, x equals 3. I know it looks like a negative 3, but it's 3. And then you want it in factored form. So you're going to add 2 to both sides. So you have x plus 2, x minus 1, and x plus 3. Now this one here, it's facing down, and I'm going to go ahead and write the zeros. So we have x equals negative 2, x equals negative 1, x equals 1. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to write in factored form, so it's x plus 2. This is x plus 1, and this is x minus 1. One thing I didn't explain also, since none of these repeat, these are each a multiplicity of 1. And that's going to be on the test. You need to know what is multiplicity. 33, what you have to do is you have to find a polynomial factored form, and it's degree 3, and we notice we have 3 zeros. And it's like what I told you in class, you got to find the zeros. In this case, we know the 0 is where the y value is 0. Now, do not get misled. We do have a 0 here, but that's on the x. So if I had to list the zeros, I would say x equals 3, x equals 1, x equals 2. And you notice that it's degree 3. So that means there's 3 zeros, and here are the 3 zeros. Now, the first part of the question was write in factored form. Well, that's what we did earlier. It's going to be x minus 3, x minus 1, and x minus 2. So those are our 3 factors in factored form. 34 is an open response. I want to know if you can write and you can explain what are the zeros of this polynomial. In this case, the zeros are negative 2, 1, negative 1, 0, and 2. And so you have to write out, explain. It'd probably be good to say it's an even function. You can say that the end behavior is positive, positive. To list the factors, you can use the zeros. In this case, we have x equals -2, so it's x plus 2. X equals -1, so it's x plus 1. We have x, and then we have x minus 2. So you have to write it out, and you have to explain. I did turn to number 39 here. It says use the given graph to determine f of 0. So we have f of 0, so what you have to do is you go to your x-axis, we have 0, and then just tell me what the y value is on this graph, so it's 1.5. And this one says f of -3, so we come over here to -3, and you tell me what the y value is. And then we have f of 4, so we're going to go to 4, and then you just tell me what the y value is. And that's how you find f of 0, f of -3, and f of 4. This one says state the multiplicity of each root. So this right here is a polynomial of degree 3. So we have 3 roots. We're going to find the greatest common factor. In this case, it's x. And we're left with x squared minus 2x plus 1. You're going to factor x squared minus 2x plus 1. And the factors of 1 are going to be -1 and -1. And that tells you right there, when you have 2 factors that are the same, that tells you that's a multiplicity of 2. So these will have a multiplicity of 2. X cubed minus 2x squared minus 15x, the greatest common factor is x. So you have x squared minus 2x plus 15, you're factoring the x. You find the factors of -15, which are -5 and 3. Since we have one of each, that's a multiplicity of 1. So I have x to the 4th, 6x cubed plus 8x squared minus 6x minus 9. It says state the degree. The degree is 4. So if the degree is 4, we know that it's quartic. And we know there's 4 roots, right? There's 4 roots. So find the zeros of the polynomial using your calculator. A warning, the only zeros that we're able to find are the ones that are real. The ones that are not real, you will have to either figure it out using factoring, or you're going to use the quadratic formula in most cases. And let me go ahead and erase this. So I have x to the power 4 plus 6x to the power 3 plus 8x squared, in this case, plus 8x squared minus 6x, and then I'm missing minus 9. Enter. I'm going to make sure that I have this calculator graph correctly. So it's x to the 4th, 6x cubed, 8x squared minus 6x minus 9. So I have one of them is here, which it looks like it appears to be -2. The other one is -1. And then the last one is 1. Now you might want to zoom out. Sometimes the 4th one you'll see it somewhere else. I'm going to zoom out and I don't see it. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to analyze the graph and I'm going to find the zeros. So the first zero is -3, 0. The second zero is -1. And the last, or the third zero, is 1 equals 0. So there has to be one that's being repeated. We just don't know right now. So what I'm just going to do is I'm going to list. I have x equals -3. I have x equals -1, and I have x equals 1. State the least possible multiplicities looking at the graph. So here I know that there's going to be one that's going to repeat. Now, sketching the graph, we know that it's going to be quartic. And to sketch it, you can just do this. 1, 2,